This is Benefit Cosmetics, Pore Care University, an interactive digital handbook for sales training. And joining us, we have Nina from Benefit Cosmetics. She's been with Benefit Cosmetics since 2008, started at a brow bar counter, wowing brows, and then joined the education team, where she has spearheaded major product launches in LXP and an immersive learning site. And joining her today as well is Jaime McDonald. She's our EVP of Customer Success here at ELB Learning. She helps our clients maximize custom and off-the-shelf game-based solutions to power training. So without further ado, Jaime, Nina, welcome to the ELBX Online stage.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I just saw a comment about my eyebrows. Thank you so much, Joel.
I wish my eyebrows looked like yours.
We can have another session for a tutorial on that later. That was actually one of the requirements when starting to work with ELB, was that we took them through a benefit training and focused on brows and all that. So anyway, thank you for the wonderful introduction. As Stephanie said, my name is Nina Quintero and I'm from Benefit Cosmetics. And I have with me my wonderful ELB partner, Jaime. I'm going to go ahead and pull my screen up.
Welcome, everybody.
I saw what everyone was having for lunch, and I'm just at breakfast here in California. So, all right. Sorry about that. Hang on a second here. Okay. Okay. I haven't done this in so long. My goodness.
I always say it's not a good virtual conference if you don't have a few tech problems. So.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Is it now in presenter mode for you guys?
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So as Stephanie said, I'm going to be taking you through our Pore Care University, which is an interactive digital handbook for sales training. We've already done intros, so I'm going to skip through those slides for you. Okay. So in order to fully understand our brand, just like I was mentioning with when we started working with ELB, we took them through a benefit training. I'm going to do that a little bit for you today to understand how we've been disrupting the cosmetic industry in both product innovation and education for almost 50 years. And in order to do that, we have to go back to 1976. Was anybody... You can raise your hand at home. I can't see you, but if you were here in 1976 on this planet, some of you perhaps were turning on, tuning in, and dropping out. So let me go ahead and refresh your memory. In 1976, it was the bicentennial of America. Jimmy Carter was elected the 39th president. Milk was $1.68. Apple Computer was founded, which blew my mind. And most important to me is that in 1976, Gene and Jane Ford opened the Face Place. Is this important to anybody else on this call? So Gene and Jane Ford are the founders of Benefit Cosmetics. And in 1976, they opened the Face Place, which became Benefit Cosmetics. And to even go deeper into our brand and to understand how we've been trailblazing, we need to talk about our trailblazing co-founders. Gene and Jane Ford were born identical twins on a farm in Indiana. But Indiana proved to be a little bit too small for these 6-foot-tall powerhouses, identical twins. So they moved to New York to begin a modeling career where they did ads for brands like Calgon, Take Me Away, as well as Doublemint. And during that time in the modeling world, they did most of their own makeup. And realizing that beauty was fleeting, Gene and Jane moved across the country, packed up their car, and drove to they drove to San Francisco, which was the place to be. It was the scene of female empowerment and free spirits. Innovation in tech, as we saw, Apple was founded. And when they got here, they didn't have a plan. So they were like, we need to make money. So they flipped a coin between cosmetics and casseroles. Which do you think it landed on? If it landed on casseroles, we would not be here today. So luckily it landed on cosmetics. So that was 1976. They opened their first location. In 1977, they created the first product that put us on the map as a brand. And this was called Rose Tint at the time. And the story with this is that an exotic dancer walked into their location and requested a product to enhance her upper area so that she would get more tips. Jean and Jane, knowing that they had a $33 goal that they had to hit every single day to stay in business, did not want to turn away any customers. So they said, we just ran out, come back tomorrow and we will have a fresh bottle for you. The next day, Rosie came in and lo and behold, Benetint was born. So this product was the first tint in the cosmetic industry. We still sell it today. It's known as Benetint, and we sell it as a lip and cheek stain. So however your heart desires to use it, please feel free, but we sell it as a lip and cheek stain. In 1990, we changed our name to Benefit Cosmetics. We opened a location in Henry Bindle's in New York, and they thought the faceplace wasn't quite a good fit for them, so Benefit was born. In 1999, we were acquired by LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, and we are part of their Maisons. And in 2012, we set a Guinness World Record for most eyebrow waxes in 8 hours by a team. So in everything that we do, we follow Jean and Jane's disruptive spirit, and we strive to shake up the norm, whether it be nipple tint or product education. We're constantly breaking the rules with wit and wisdom. And with that in mind, Benefit employs a mix of payroll and non-payroll employees. And this special combination means that when we're creating education, we have to think of the learner based on if they're payroll, non-payroll, how they're going to be learning, and where they're going to be learning. And I'm going to take you through what those levels of learners are. The first one is our payroll employee. This employee is employed by Benefit, and they have designated training times. It's built into their schedule, and it's typically done either off of the sales floor or they're taken out of the store for an entire day to come to a training. So very focused. We then have non-payroll employees. These employees are employed by a retailer such as Ulta, Sephora, Macy's, and training time is not really designated. It's as they can do it, and it's usually done on the sales floor. So it's noisy, it's loud. If you've ever been shopping in a Macy's or an Ulta, you know what that environment is like, and we need our learners to learn in that environment, which can be difficult. We also have licensed and certified employees. In the United States, we employ licensed cosmetologists and estheticians, and in other countries, sometimes they just require a certification. And that means that these employees specifically have elevated knowledge and training in skincare. So as opposed to some other countries where, people are going from Starbucks to browse, maybe not as much knowledge in skincare as somebody that has gone to school for it and received either a certificate or a license. And then we have freelance employees. These employees are really hired just for the day. So if we're having a call out that day, or there's an event in store, something like that, they're not a full-time employee, and they need to know the most pertinent information as quickly as possible. So they'll show up, they'll clock in, we give them a quick download, maybe 15 minutes, and then they have to go out and sell whatever the focus products for that day are. Every year, we launch products that shake up the cosmetic industry with both our innovation and our marketing, as well as on the back end, our education. And in 2016, we had our biggest launch in Benefit history with our brow category launch. We launched 9 SKUs, which are products. So we launched 9 products at one time. Typically, we launch 1 product. So this was a really big undertaking for us. And we had a very extensive education for this process. But technology has evolved very quickly from 2016. And so this year in 2023, we had our second biggest launch since 2016, and we really elevated and utilized technology for this specific launch. We took over the Pore category, and to clarify, I'm talking about skincare, pores on your face, that kind of thing. So we took over the entire Pore category by launching 6 new products earlier this year in March. So coming from a post-pandemic world where everything was virtual, at the time of the pandemic, we created a learning experience platform, and that's where our ELB partners came into play here. We worked with ELB to create a learning experience platform, which you can see, I don't have the technological skills to create that because I drew this on a piece of paper. And I said, this is what I want it to look like. I handed it over to Jamie and the team, and they created this beautiful university for all of our employees to have sort of an immersive online experience for education. And we knew that we wanted to utilize this platform with our Pore Care education. So they created Pore University, a beautiful immersive learning experience. And so without further ado, I'm actually going to take you in to Pore University. Jamie, I wonder if I click this, the next link, if it will, what do you think?
I think you have to click that link. Click in the middle of
I share my sound. That's okay. All right, let's see if this works. I'm hoping this pops up. You can't see it, huh?
I think you need to change the window that you're screen sharing.
Yep, I'm gonna get to that. What was supposed to be this lead up, and it was supposed to be exciting, so just hold on that. Okay,
We're building the suspense.
Let me share, and then I can also share my sound as well. All right. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Okay. Nope, that's not what I want to share. You're still seeing the slide? Nope. I'm so ready.
I think you were on the right one before.
Yeah, I think you were too, Nina. The other.
Okay. Golly gee. Go. Okay, you can see this?
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. Welcome to Pore University. All right. So Pore University is an extension of Benebabe University, which is our learning experience platform. So obviously we're going with university theme here, higher education, that kind of thing. This, when we launched, was a standalone site, which I'll talk about in a second. But without further ado, here's Pore University. So we had it, so it was translatable into our top 5 languages, which means that all content was translated, as well as all videos with their closed caption and overdubs were translated into whatever language that you chose at that time. All right. So we wanted this to be an interactive workbook to make you feel like you were at school, but fun, right? School, but fun. And so each section has a video, it has something that is clickable, and then something else that you read as well. So different ways to interact throughout the entire workbook. So I'll go ahead and I'll just show you one little video here.
Welcome to Benebabe University's Department of Pores. I'm Nina Quintero, your Pore guide and teacher's assistant. We're all here today to get our PhD in pores.
All right, we don't need to watch all that. But so every video, we wanted to create this really immersive experience. When we started this project, we were like, we want virtual reality, we want 3D, we want metaverse. And the ELB team was like, yes, and will you be sending virtual reality goggles? Will you? And we were like, okay, no, that sounds very expensive. So how can we do that, without all of the extra accoutrements? So this was our solution, to create these interactive 3D videos. Each tab has a different section. We created different classrooms for everything. So this is like your lecture hall. I'll take you through this.
And I'm Chelsea.
Here we go.
Hello, Pore students. I'm Kate Helfrich. I'm the SV.
So you'll see there we were in a lecture hall. This is a classroom, and then we have clickables here as well. So what normal pores look like, what clogged pores look like. We also did so since we launched 6 different products, we had an in-person training as well that went along with this, which included a breakdown of all of the ingredients so that you could touch, feel, even taste some of them, but we couldn't do that online. So we did the next best thing, which were clickables. So these ingredients probably showed up in the real life class, but you know, we couldn't send that to everybody. So clickables just to further educate on what each of those ingredients are. And then at the top, you'll see tabs for each of the products. And you'll notice we have a new classroom design for every product, which also correlates to the color of that product, which then correlates to one of the 3 main pore concerns. We also offered, with this launch, we wanted our teams to be able to demonstrate these products in store effectively. So we launched in-store demos, which were quick, effective ways to showcase how the products worked. And so with that, there's a tutorial video, as well as on this side here, it's a scrollable step-by-step guide. We also had printed out versions of these, but I loved how this page is scrollable, so you can stay within the workbook while following along, and it doesn't have to be multiple pages as well. And there were 3 of those as well. And then finally, in conclusion, there is a graduation. Obviously, no university is complete without a celebration. Now, this site, as I mentioned in the beginning, lived on its own. It was like a top secret website. It didn't live within our LXP for proprietary reasons. And so we needed a way to track analytics for how many users, who was going in, and all of that. So what we did was we created here, this is a clickable to an external link. It opens up in Elucidate e-learning. And there you have to take a quiz to ensure that you went through this whole course. And then you get a certificate, which is a PhD in pores, that you would then show your manager that you have completed the course. Because we used Elucidate, we were able to capture learner information as soon as they clicked that link. They would have to type in their information before moving any further. So we were able to track some analytics, not all, but that was our kind of workaround for that. And then to continue their education, we have a callback to head to our main LXP page, which that would then insert them there to continue the conversation and their education as well. All right, so now I'm gonna switch, hopefully. How do I change this? See, technology is not my thing, people.
You're doing great, Nina.
Thank you. Are we back to the,
Yep.
Cool. All right, great. So because we weren't able to track all of our learners, so some countries, like I mentioned, we had it translated into our top 5 languages. And so what some countries did was they took the PhD certification program, that external e-learning, and they translated it into their own language and sent it out separately to their teams. So as far as analytics go, what I can track based on what was clicked through our site was we had at least 7,855 learners complete their PhD in pores with that call to action from the Pore site directly. This was also accessed by over 60 countries. So again, the translations in all of those countries as well. And we noticed that once we moved this over, once the product was launched, we moved it over to our learning experience platform. And at that time, we noticed an uptick in users, and we had at least 3 times the amount of users starting to log into our LXP, which was really, really super cool. In addition to Pore University, which was sort of this self-led education, we had 2 other forms of learning that also worked with this cohesively. So each of these could be done individually or all done together. As I mentioned, we had an in-class education as well. So you can see here on the table, there's some like aloe that they can touch and feel and some chamomile and the correlating products that have those ingredients in it. So it was an immersive, hands-on experience. Typically, the learner went through the Pore University first and then came to the classroom training, but it could be done either way. And then the final piece was we had an actual physical handbook as well. And this was kind of supplemental education. This would be great for the freelance employee or just as a reference guide to have at the counter in the store, because this is a lot of information. So we wanted them to be able to quickly reference if they couldn't get to their phone or their iPad or computer. You'll notice in this photo, there was also a QR code. QR codes had the biggest comeback out of the pandemic of anything I've ever seen. And it worked to our advantage because in order to access the site that obviously was living in its magical world online somewhere on its own, we needed to get that information out to everybody. So the workbook was sent to all of our employees along with all of the products to their homes. And then they would use their phones, they would click on the QR code and be taken to the Pore University site. So it was like pre-education, not being forced. If they didn't want to do it, they didn't have to. But just, we got it in their hands right off the bat so that they could start learning immediately. And to take you more into the tech side, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie.
Thank you, Nina. So some of the questions in the chat were along the lines of how we built this. So this was a fully custom project. We built the overall project using HTML and JavaScript. But when it came to the videos, there were several videos as Nina showed you. So each of those videos, we created a virtual set design. And then we used a 3D camera tracking technology using Unreal Engine for the videos. And then for the translations, we, as Nina mentioned at the very beginning, we translated them into 5 languages. We did all the overdubs on the videos. We did closed captioning. And the project as a whole took about 3 months, a little bit longer after, the ideation part to bring it to discover to life took a little bit longer. We originally built it in Adobe XD, and then we got buy-in from the benefit team. And then from there, we converted it over into the HTML and JavaScript. So I hope that's, and I'm not exactly the most tech person either, but our chief creative officer can give you a little bit more detail too. We can get back to you with any other questions on that.
All right. And I can't give out information about, how this affected sales or anything like that, because that's all proprietary. However, what I can tell you is that we are currently the #1 skincare brand in the Middle East, which is really exciting and very cool. And I would like to think that this project played an integral role in that, but I'm not 100% sure on that, but this was translated into Arabic specifically for them. So I'm excited that they've been using it and that we're the #1 skincare brand there. And I've won all these Emmys for it. No, just kidding.
I was just going to say, for anyone, we should have probably brought this up at the beginning, Nina, but for anyone who was at DevLearn in Vegas a couple weeks ago, Nina and I presented this at Demo Fest, and I think there were about 40 or so companies that competed, and we won Best in Show. So kudos to everybody on the team who worked on this project, and for any of you who were there and voted for us, thank you so much.
It was very exciting. I should have inserted our video of us accepting our
award. I have the award right here.
Me too. I have it on my It's true, everybody. We did win. And so that concludes my my little presentation for all of you today. Short and sweet. What questions do you have that I can answer for you? Whether it be about Browse or this handbook, whatever, we can do it all.
All right. Yes, Jamie has been doing a great job in the chat of answering the questions. I think there were several people wanted to know how long it took. I think you said about 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And we had already had a really great relationship with the team because we'd been working with them for about 3 years. And so they really understood what our vision was as a brand and also kind of what we needed to accomplish. And I think having our university already created, they just had to update it with colors and themes like that. It made it much quicker, I think, and more seamless.
And we are adding more languages to the binder as we speak, actually. So that'll be launched I think in the next few weeks.
Yep, and we're adding launching. Oh, I don't know if I can say that. As we grow the category of Pore Care, we will also continue to add to the binder, which is really cool. So it can expand as we grow as well.
Fantastic. All right, we do have a question. Since this was fully built in HTML, are the materials Section 508 compliant? Are they accessible to people using assistive technology like screen readers? Was that a concern when you built it?
It's a really good question. I'm not sure if it was built to be fully 508 compliant. Was that a concern, Nina? I don't remember. So that like all of your customers who might have, any visual impairments or hearing or, could they, I mean, the closed captioning definitely could help if you were someone who, had that particular type of concern, but I don't remember the details.
Yeah, it wasn't on the forefront of our list of needs at the time, but we did want to make sure that we had the closed caption for any hearing impaired. So yeah. But moving forward, we are starting to think more about accessibility. So that is something that we are starting to think about as well.
And Janelle, I saw your question about what parts of the process were the most stressful. I would say one of the things that was interesting is that the products weren't out yet. And so in order for us to design this with the brand visuals of the products and not having the products, we had to kind of do some placeholders and wait till there were some, product marketing assets that we could drop into it. I don't know, Nina, if there were any other parts that were.
I think the biggest thing was the design. I had a very specific vision of what I wanted it to look like. And so it was constantly back and forth with like me and Alan. And I'm like, I don't know about the color of that one border, or it was just very like little minute things that, I noticed. And it was just like that kind of back and forth, but it was easy and fun. It was a really fun project. So yeah.
And Scott wants to know, would you change anything if you could do it all over again from the start?
That's a great question. I think when we've learned a lot along the way, I think this project actually turned out really amazing and exactly how we envisioned it. I would say for our LXP, we are doing a revamp on our learning experience platform. And for that, we've learned a lot from when we created it 3 years ago. So I think with that project, which is not what we're talking about today, but I think with that, there are things that we would change to make it more accessible and user-friendly, which is what we're doing. So that's really cool. Through this project, we learned more about that, if that makes sense.
That is a great answer. And then let's see, Ashley wanted to know more about the planning process. I know in the very beginning, you showed us your sketch that you wanted. What else went into kind of deciding the objectives and the goals and things like that?
Great question. So we had to think about the learner and what information they would need and how we would want to convey that particular piece of information. A lot of this content, like Jamie said, we were working a little bit faster than our marketing team and our copy team, even our product innovation team. So we didn't have the products, we didn't have the copy, we didn't have a lot of things that we needed to do this. And because we start educating many months in advance. So our time frame in education is much quicker than, having it in store on the counter. And so for that, we had to create everything from scratch. And we had to, everything that we wrote had to go through our copy team, our legal team. So there was quite a bit of time frame for all of that. So all of that was really, really time consuming. Was that the question? I'm sorry. I think I got off. I got really into it.
You did it was a great answer.
The planning, yes. So we had lots of meetings with the team, lots of back and forth. But what was great, again, like Jamie was saying, placeholders had to be used for a lot of things. And so we had everything sort of in place. And like the last final piece was all the copy and images. So once we got all that applied, it was or approved, it could just be inserted, which was great.
We did have fun talking about all the Pore names, like the Professionals. And remember, we were going through that, like the Professors who were teaching, who were going to be part of the videos. There was a lot of fun, creative working sessions.
Now, we got a couple questions, Nina. Can you show us your PowerPoint and how you had those color swatches set up? People want to know about your color swatches.
I think they mean before you go into presenter mode, the background, that was like, that's the Benefit Cosmetics template.
Oh, like I have no idea. I don't know. Our team, and this is another fun fact. We're going through like a rebrand right now. So, we're about 50 years old. It's time for a little nip and tuck. And so our creative team actually created this amazing PowerPoint that has directions and directives on fonts, colors, and all of those kinds of things. And so they sent out a template and it has all the colors and all that in the note. I don't know if it's like the notes section or something like that. So if I find out, I'll let you know, but that's not me.
All right. Well, you can tell the creative team that everyone was very impressed with it.
Awesome. I'll pass it along.
Let's see. We have one question wanting to know if Benefit is using AI tools, or are you training your salespeople on how to use AI? Do you have anything around that?
That's a great question. So, I've actually been learning more about AI myself. It is coming up quick, hot and quick. And so being at DevLearn just a few weeks ago, I sat in on a lot of sessions there. I myself have fiddled around with it a little bit, just to see kind of if it really applies to us. And some things it does and some things it doesn't. As far as like, for me as a content creation tool, it's not really my friend because it doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Like if I'm talking about waxing eyebrows, it like blows its mind a little bit. So for me, not so much, but I do think other teams are looking into how to use it to our advantage as far as like customer service goes. So I think there's been talk about on our website somehow integrating it there for customer service. So there are talks about moving sort of into the future of that.
Thank you. And I'll do a little plug for tomorrow's session. We'll be talking a lot about using AI for sales and other enterprise business support. So you can get all your questions answered.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.